Hello and welcome, this is Agent XP, and welcome back to another author playthrough. So today we are playing my second Back to Basics level, which was part of Back to Basics 2018 Space. This is the 12th year of the Back to Basics competition, and do check out the many wonderful levels that have been part of the 12 years of Back to Basics competitions. Now, this is my 9th ever level, and this level has a slight twist. So I've based this level on Atlantis from Tomb Raider 1, but it's kind of a reimagination of that level with a space theme. So I wanted to create an alien city for Lara to explore, and I think I've pulled that off pretty well. So Natla has made a second appearance, and Lara has pursued Natla back to Natla's home planet, which is called Starlantis, and Lara has to try and stop Natla from raising another army of Atlanteans, and that is the premise for the story. I was slightly disappointed with the reviews I got for this level. I was told by a few reviewers that there were too many pickups, but I tend to like a lot of pickups in levels, and because this is intended to replicate Atlantis, by the time you reached that point in Tomb Raider 1 you had a lot of stuff, and I didn't want people to be short of ammo when they're fighting the many Atlanteans in the city, so that's kind of why I would rather provide too much ammo rather than not enough. So speaking of which, we can shoot the crates as soon as we arrive in the level, and this will provide us with the revolver. And this is Lara's shuttlecraft, and we will need to return back here right at the end of the level. And this is quite possibly one of my favourite locations in the entire game, the surface of the planet Starlantis. Now, this was partly inspired by a very old Star Trek episode called City on the Edge of Forever. I really love the horizon in this level, it's so beautiful. And on the right you can see a portal, and it's not lit yet, and that is how we are going to return back here at the end of the level. We will emerge from that portal there on the right, allowing us to get back to our shuttle. But in the meantime, we are going to venture down into the depths of the lost city, and the door opens as you approach it there, and you can shoot another crate and get some more flares. And we're now venturing deeper underground, and we can see here a structure. Now, this is the way that we are going to enter the lost city, and we're going to have to open this up first. So we can run around this initial cave area, and there are a few places to go in here. So the first is into this small room, but do not be fooled, this room is not all it appears. You're going to want to pick up the large med kit first, as you will not be able to get this after pressing the button. So be very quick to move as soon as you press the button. Jump out of the room, as the ceiling is trapped. If you stand still for too long, a poor Lara will get squished. So we want to run back out into this large cave area, and there are one or two items hidden here. So if we look in this purple grass, we can find this object. Now, this is what we're going to be using as a small med kit in this pack, and it's called a mungi fruit. And we also want to pick up some ammo in the corner here. Next, we're going to want to run over to the area that was shown in the brief camera hint, and this is through into another cave, and we'll come across this purpley corridor. So just run through the particles there, they won't hurt us, and we emerge in this room. So this is some kind of control room, and we're going to need to activate the portal which will allow us to descend into the lost lost city, but in order to do that we're going to have to climb further up in this room. So first of all we can shoot the box and claim some more flares, and now we need to find a way to climb higher in this room, and we can do this here by the purple plant. So use the ledge jump to reach the slope, and then Lara can jump to one of these 4 pillars, and from here we're going to want to jump to the pillar with the slope, and as soon as you hit the pillar, jump and veer to the right and grab these stairs. Now you may want to be suspicious of these faces, so as soon as you press the button once again, hop out of the way, otherwise you will get rudely pushed off. And speaking of being pushed off, we do actually want to descend, but it's safer to drop to one of the 4 pillars and then drop to the floor, otherwise you are likely to lose health. Now we can see there that in the pipes we now have energy beams, and we'll get a brief camera hint as we emerge from the room, and this tells us that the portal has now been activated. So the lightning is striking the top of that block, and a trap door has now opened into the room below. So we can see there, if we look for long enough, there is a lightning bolt, and we can now drop down, grab the edge of the ladder and safely drop into this room. Now it's worth checking the flower beds around the edge of this room, as there are a number of pickups hidden, and we won't be coming back to this room, so we only have one chance to grab these. I do love some of the plants in this pack. So run up to the switch, you might want to save your game, and we get a bit of a jump scare. So as we pull the switch, we will then drop right down into the depths of the lost city, and we are caught by a handy pool of water there. So once again, check the flower beds for some items. I love these blue plants, they look so alien. I enjoyed using these throughout the city. There's very much a blue and purple theme going on in this level. I love it, it's a very alien colour palette. So we can run down this hallway and grab what is some Uzi ammo, and then emerge in this area. And we'll be shown a camera hint of a key underneath the floor, and we'll need to grab that in order to allow us to leave this area. Now we're going to want to shoot the fledgling Atlantean, who will attack us as soon as we enter the area. And there are lots of these fledgling Atlanteans in this room. So if we turn around, this area may look a tad familiar, and this room is based on the first room of Tomb Raider 1 Atlantis. So around the room we see all the egg pods, and from at least some of these we will get some Atlanteans emerging and attacking us. Here's another one. Now unfortunately I know they are kind of bats. This is the only flying enemy that was part of the pack, and I thought it kind of did quite well as a baby Atlantean rather than a fully grown one. A fully grown Atlantean would have been cool. However, part of the feature of Back to Basics is that you have to work with the pack that you're given. So we can run to this hallway, and be careful to walk as there is a blade trap here, and we can come into this room and drop down, and we will get a secret in this pit. Now the reason we want to come here first is because this gets closed off and we can't pick up the secret a bit later on, as a boulder is going to drop into that pit, and that will prevent us from getting the goodies. So we can claim that, and also some flares in the pit at the back of the room. Now you may have noticed as part of that secret we got a key item, and that is because if you find all the secrets in this level you will get a secret bonus towards the end, so it's worth looking for all the secrets. And we also got some Uzis as well, so it's well worth picking up that secret. Now we need to climb this ladder, and the trick with this ladder is to not climb up too high, as Lara will easily hit her head. Like so. It's been a while since I played this, so Let's try that again, shall we? I'm not too worried about losing health, as I'm not doing a no meds run, although I think it would be possible to do that. So we emerge on the second floor, and there are quite a few pots that we can shoot up here. This first one contains some mungi fruit or a small med kit, and this second one doesn't contain anything, and then there is some more Uzi ammo under this pot. And as we look around, you may notice a switch on this floor, and we're going to need to pull that, and that is a timed switch which will allow us to raise a block and, surprise surprise, pull another switch. It's very typical Tomb Raider stuff here. So we're going to pull this lever, and yeah, there's nothing under that pot. I put lots of pots around to shoot because it's just fun. So I pull the switch, and we have just enough time to roll, do a running jump, and then do a forward standing jump on top of this raising block, and pull this second switch. And this opens a door back on the ground floor, and it also activates a couple more of the Atlanteans. Oh, jump out the way and shoot the Atlantean. And, oh, he's a pesky thing. Shoot him, and we can then go back downstairs. I should probably use the Uzis here. I like to use the pistols for the first part of the level and then switch up to more powerful guns later on. But for the walkthrough, I think I'm going to try and use some more powerful weapons. So we can run around to this corner of the room. I am just checking because I thought more than one Atlantean activated there. It seems not for now. And we can run down this hallway, and we'll get a camera view showing the pot on top of the statue. And we need to shoot that in order to activate the raising block in the corner of the room. So we're given a slope here, and this gives us a bit more height, which should in theory allow us to shoot that pot, although Lara can be a bit stubborn. So let's try that again, shall we? So a jump up, and there we go. The block has now lowered. So pull this switch, and this will open up a door back on the upper level. So you'll probably remember where the ladder was, so we're going to need to use that a second time and run around the corner and ascend back to the second floor. So a part of the reason that I provided people with an abundance of ammo is so that they can shoot the Atlanteans easily, as there are quite a lot in this city, which is a part of the story of this level, as Lara needs to take care of the threat that Natla may raise another army of Atlanteans. So we can run across the landing and find ourselves in this room that has opened. Now this room might be slightly familiar, and that's because we're actually above the room that we claimed a secret in earlier. And we also need to ascend further because there is another level at the top of this room. And in order to do this, we can use these slopes and grab this purple slope and then shimmy to the right and climb up. And there are some more pots that we can shoot, and a couple of these that contain items that we can claim. There's another small med kit here, and you may notice a switch on the back wall. Now this is going to drop down a boulder. Now this will release a key that we need, but it's also going to block off the secret that we picked up earlier. So we're going to want to drop safely down to the floor. If we drop down the centre there, we're going to take damage as it's quite a long fall. So it's better to go down a level at a time. And we can now claim an item that dropped with the boulder. So pick the key up, and don't forget the sneaky blade trap in this hallway. I've managed to catch myself in that trap quite a lot of times when testing this level. So come back outside, and we'll see here that a handy block has raised, and this is merely a shortcut which will allow us to get back to the upper level quickly, so we don't need to use the ladder a third time. So place the key here and the door opens. You may have heard another Atlantean has woken up downstairs, although I'm not entirely sure where he is right now. Oh, there he is. Right, shoot him. And we won't get him attacking us while we're in the crawl space. these things are really hard to hit. There we go. So, and that's partly why I provided an abundance of Uzi ammo and explosive arrows, because they help in killing those things quite a lot. So crawl into this area and we'll find ourselves in one of the pods in the wall, and here we can claim a new weapon, and this will help us in dispatching a lot of the enemies. So pull the switch and another boulder is released, and this opens a trapdoor in the floor. This will allow us to finally claim the key that we got shown in the camera hint when we first entered this area. So a crawl on out of the crawl space. And whoops, let's go downstairs once again. So we can drop down onto the raising block that raised, and this will mean that we shouldn't take any damage. So drop down safely, and we can now explore the area that we can see underneath the floor. So there are a number of items here. Not only is there the key that we were shown, we're going to grab that first, but there are a number of pickups that we can claim and another secret. We're going to want to grab the key first, as that is the most important thing, and it's on top of this different patterned tile. So we claim that, and if we continue crawling to the end, we can claim another mungy fruit med pack. There are a couple of other pots in this area, although none of them contain any items. So shoot them if you like, but there's really no need to. So we're going to proceed out of this half of the crawl space, and we can then climb into the other side. Now thankfully in the Back to Basics pack we get the crawl rollout animation, which is always massively appreciated as it makes getting out of crawl spaces so much easier. So if we go down this side we can shoot a few pots. There are some pots in the centre, and no, you can't shoot those, and fear not, there is nothing inside them. I wouldn't be that mean in placing pots that you can't access with goodies inside. So shoot this pot and we will get another secret and another secret bonus key. So claim your goodies and then we can turn around and crawl back out of the crawl space. Our business here is done. So as I mentioned earlier, each of the secrets in this game gives you a secret access plug, and then towards the end of the level, if you find all 5 of these plugs, you can use them to access a final super secret. Although when I say final, there is one more secret right at the end of the level, which is kind of intended as a bit of a joke in a way, but I'll explain that more when we see it. So a run to the end of the hallway and we get a dramatic flyby showing the main Starlantian chamber, and this is very much based on the main chamber of Tomb Raider 1 Atlantis, but of course with a slightly different colour palette, as we are on Starlantis as opposed to the original Atlantis. And I'm just coming back in here because I just want to check out if there are any more of these Atlantean enemies that are going to wake up, or indeed have already woken up, because we don't really want these ambushing us as we're climbing up the chamber, because in case you hadn't noticed, the area at the bottom is effectively lava, and if we fall into that we die, no matter how high we are when we fall. So place the lower silo key, and it might be worth saving your game, as this run jump can be a tad tricky, but admire the colours here. I love the gaseous particles in the lava clouds there. So you can run, jump and grab this ledge. Now it may not look like you can, but you can without Lara's feet touching the lava. And as you come into this room, make sure you have some powerful weapons drawn, as we're going to get attacked by a pesky Starlantian flying enemy. So shoot that, and then we can walk carefully along this platform. And if we turn to the right, you may notice that there is a shimmy crack on the wall. So we can use this to shimmy to the right and pull up into this alcove. Now you want to save your game here because this is quite a tricky timed run. You'll be shown a camera view of the door at the far end opening, and we need to do a tricky run, jump and grab to this trapdoor and then run on inside as quickly as possible. And if you want to save a tiny bit of time, you can use a speedrunner tactic, which is to grab and let go and then very quickly press grab again, and that will stop Lara from swinging when she grabs the trap door. That's a trick to save time, but you don't have to do that. It is possible to make the run without it. So once we arrive in this large room, it's worth exploring the ground level, as there are a number of pickups here, and we can walk on this purple material no problem, it's not deadly, but there will indeed become a point where the floor is deadly and we will no longer be able to collect the pickups. So that's why I hopped down there straight away and got them as soon as I arrived in the room. So we can do another timed run here, so hop along these pillars and reach this switch at the end of the hallway, and if we pull this we'll see the two doors on the left hand wall open. So hop back out of that hallway, this is not timed, don't worry, and we can hop into the right hand alcove, and we're going to want to run down this short hallway, and this will give us access to the other side of the block that you may have spied inside the left hand doorway, and we're going to want to pull it in. You can either pull it in once or twice, it doesn't matter which, and once we finish pulling it we'll be shown a camera, and this basically frees the way for some lava to pour into the room, so the block was stopping it from flowing, and we can now see that the room has changed. And you may remember just a moment ago I said the floor would become deadly and we couldn't get the pickups any longer. Well, it's now been flooded with lava, but this has moved the blocks in the centre of the room over, and it now means that we can access the left hand door with the timed switch, and this is a similar concept to a puzzle that we saw in Tomb Raider 1 Atlantis. As I've said previously, this entire level is effectively a reimagination of Atlantis, but with some different areas and of course different textures. So we can pull out this block at the far end of the room, and if we put it into the centre, this will allow us to climb further up in this room. Although do be careful, as there are a couple of steam traps that we need to watch out for. These ledges allow us to utilise Lara's new ledge jump moves, and this will allow us to climb further up in this room using the ledges as a ladder. And we can pull into a number of these areas, as there are several which contain Uzi ammo pickups. So it's quite well worth going up one side, and then we can climb to the top, hop over, and drop back down on the opposite side. Let's just get some flares in this corner first. And if we now drop back down on this side, we can see if there are any more Uzi pickups. There will be at least one more. Here it is. So pull in and grab your ammo. And we did get a little bit nicked by the steam there, but it won't do a massive amount of damage. It's just worth not taking a full impact of it. So we can climb back up to the top and continue on our way. So hop across the gap, be careful of the ceiling lip there. If you press grab, Lara will not hit her head on it. So we can drop down here and walk very carefully to the edge of this ledge, as we will get a camera view showing that we are back in the central silo, and we can be very careful here as there are a couple of enemies, although Lara can't quite reach that one, which is annoying. Not even the Uzis will allow me to reach it. We'll try the laser gun, we'll see if that will reach. No, Not even the laser gun will let me target that one. I think that's the one that was loose from earlier. So when we hop to this ledge, a new baddie activates, and we should be able to reach this one. So I'm just going to draw my Uzis. Oh no, has he flown off? Oh no, that's annoying. So the one from earlier was out of range, but this one has just flown out of range as well. Oh well, we'll just have to take care of them at a later point. Just be very careful when you're on ledges that they don't push you off. But when we enter this area, we should be relatively safe from those dudes, as they tend not to follow you into side areas. So we can have a look around. This is again one of my favourite areas of the level. I really love these tanks of coral at the side. And if you look carefully here, inside this tank, the camera view is showing us that there is an item that we need to claim. So we'll need to climb up higher in the room in order to be able to access the top of the tank. So take a look around. There are a couple of things we need to note here. There is a trapdoor in the floor that we can open, and this will allow us to hop down into an area underneath the room. There's a gap in the pipe there on the right, and there is a piece of pipe down here in the basement area. It probably doesn't take a massive leap to figure out that we need to find a way to get this pipe into the room above, and the tile we were just standing on is a raising platform which will allow us to do that in the future. So come and explore these corridors. If we run into this corner, we'll activate a Starlantian. Now you don't have to do that if you don't want to. Instead, we can run around to this side, and there is an open switch that we can access and use, and this will open the doors in the room above. Now you may have noticed that there was another switch behind another lowering platform, and we'll need to access that later on. We can claim some ammo in that far corner, and we can come back around, and this whole area is a big loop. So we're back in the area where we dropped down, and this side there are a couple more pots we can shoot with at least some more flares in the one corner. There they are. Let's just claim the flares, and we can see some more raising platforms at the end, and those are currently blocking our path to another area which contains a key item that we need, and we're going to need to find a way to lower those blocks so that we can access the key in that area. So we're going to want to run around. There's not much more we can do down here at the moment, so we're going to want to climb back up this ladder and return to the floor above, and we can now explore behind the double doors that opened at the far end of the room. So as we enter this hallway, there is yet another pot that we can shoot, albeit there's nothing under that one. This one in the corner will reveal some ammo, so shoot this one and claim your Uzi ammo. And then we want to be very cautious as we see this part of the hallway. Now, looking at the ground, you may well notice straight away that there are spike holes. And what we need to do here is jump to the tiles which contain plants, as the plants have grown through the spikes and broken the spikes. The same is true for the slightly darker coloured grass at the edge, and we can shoot another pot and claim a secret here. So we're going to want to hop back to the light blue plants, as these represent the main path to cross this spike area, and most of the jumps are standing jumps, but be very, very careful not to touch Lara's feet on any of the spike tiles, as if you do, then it's going to be very nasty for Lara. So we can run around this end room, and there are a number of pickups here. Now we shouldn't have to cross the spikes a second time. If we are careful, we can open up a shortcut back to this area. As you can see, there is another pesky Starlantian that we need to shoot here. He emerged from the egg in the corner, and we can claim a few more items in this area. So there is some more explosive laser gun ammo on the floor there. And we can now run up to this ladder, and we need to climb this ladder almost to the top and then do a backflip to a ledge behind us. So climb just past this yellow line, and we can now do a backflip, jump and grab and climb on into this hallway. And you can see that there is a switch at the end of this hallway, but that's not the only thing that we need to do on this level. As we pull the switch, we'll get a camera view showing the raising blocks that we saw earlier have lowered. But before we investigate that, we want to come to this side of the balcony, and we can pull another switch, and this is going to drop 2 trapdoors at the top of 2 ladders, and this will allow us to return to this platform quickly without having to go through the spike passage a second time. So it's well worth finding that switch and pulling it before you fall off the balcony. Speaking of which, we can drop into this tank and claim a mungi fruit. And don't worry, nothing in this tank is going to hurt you. It's all just pretty scenery. So run to this pedestal and we can claim a pickup item. So this is a bowl, and we're going to need to use that later on. So dive into this tank and we can claim the pickup that we were shown earlier, and if the coral prevents you from picking it up, try swimming to the other side of the coral, and then we can climb back out of the tank. So now that we've claimed those pickups, it's worth hopping back to this balcony, as we want to return to the ladder shaft that we climbed up to enter this area. And we can now use this ladder to drop down to the basement area, and the area that I showed earlier, which was behind the raising blocks. The raising blocks have now lowered to allow us access to this area. So shoot the pots and claim all the goodies, and we can also claim a pickup item on this pedestal, and we get a camera hint showing us where we need to use this. So we now need to return to the area which contained the one section of pipe, and behind the pipe is the receptacle for the energy cell. So if we place this, we will lower the block on the opposite side, revealing a switch. But before we investigate that, we want to push the pipe forward 1 block onto the dark grey tile, which is the top of a raising block. And if we now run around and use this switch, this raises the block into the room above, which will allow us to use the pipe. If we run back down this hallway, we can see that we are no longer able to access the Arboretum area via that original ladder. So what we're going to have to do is return to this ladder shaft and jump up and grab this small section of ladder, and then turn back around and grab the section behind us, and this will allow us to return to the upper balcony of the Arboretum, and we can then drop down to the floor and push the pipe into position. So once again, climb to the yellow line, and then we can backflip and grab and pull up into this hallway. And we find ourselves back in the main Arboretum area. So we can now drop down through this trapdoor that was opened when we used the switch at the far end, and we have a quick matter to push this pipe into position. It only requires a couple of pushes, and then we will get a cool flyby. So the flyby shows us that the fountain on the upper ledge has activated, as pushing the pipe into position has allowed the water to flow through, but it's also activated a raising block on the upper balcony. So what we need to do is return to this ladder and climb back to the first level of the balcony, and then we can access the upper level. And what we need to do is hop to this purple ledge, and what we then need to do is back off and use Lara's new ledge jump move to climb further up. And we can now hop on top of this raising block. I'll just take a quick look around here. I do love these purple plants. I had a lot of fun placing these. I particularly love the ones that glow slightly. So we can then use the ledge jump move to climb up to the top of the balcony, and we can now place our cosmic cube in this receptacle. So once we place the cosmic cube, we will be shown an energy beam, and this will then pan to the floor below. We can see a sprinkler has activated, and this produces a large flower in the arboretum area on the ground floor. So what we're going to want to do is return to the ground floor, although it's worth running and jumping over to this ledge, and we can then do a drop and grab to this ledge below, and this will allow us to claim some extra Uzi ammo should you want it. So we can now hop to the top of this tank and then drop down to this floor. We will take a bit of damage, but I don't really mind about that. If you want to run around to the ladder, you can. And here we can claim some fruit that has been produced by this flower. And don't worry, this flower is not deadly. I know it is in some of the Back to Basics levels, but it's not in this one. So we can now use the ladder to return to the top floor, and we can now combine the fruit that we found with the bowl, and this is to be placed at a receptacle on the far ledge in this room. And when we place this, we will open up the door to exit this area. So once again, we want to use our ledge jump move in order to ascend this room, and we can grab this raising block and shimmy around and use the ledge jump move again. You can also do a run, jump and grab to grab the edge of the ceiling, although that is a bit trickier than using the ledge jump move. And from here we do a run, jump and grab, and then we want to combine our two items and place them on the pedestal.
No.
So the piece of fruit and the bowl create the arboretum artifact. And this opens the double doors and lets in one of our Starlantian friends. So let's grab the Uzis. I hope he doesn't push me off the ledge. Oh, careful. Yep, there, he's dead. Phew! We managed to stay on the ledge safely, that's good. So take one final look around the arboretum, and we can then run, jump and grab back to the main platform and exit this area. Run through the purple plants for the final time. I do love those so much. So just take a quick look around this area. There is nothing to pick up here, but as we run down this hallway, you may notice a trapdoor in the floor, and this is in fact a return path from a secret. So we can grab the edge of this ledge and drop down. We will unfortunately take a small amount of force damage, but it will allow us to claim this secret, and this secret contains the Uzis in case you missed them previously. So we can now climb up this ladder, and the trapdoor in the corridor above has opened in order to allow us to ascend, and there is a pesky Starlantian waiting for us back in this corridor. So let's pull out a powerful weapon and see if we can deal with him. Oh, he's gone down there. That's quite predictable. These guys are a bit of a pain. Unfortunately, as I said previously, they were the only flying enemies available to me, so I had to use these dudes. And there are quite a lot of Atlanteans in Atlantis, so hence there are quite a few of these dudes in this level. So everywhere you see eggs, there is a possibility of one of these guys hatching, and on this occasion there are two. So let's get out our laser gun and make short work of them. But this is the main reason for me being very generous with ammo, so I'm aware these guys can be a tad annoying at times, and that's why I provided the player with plenty of ammo. So we want to come into this area, and we need to be quite cautious here. There is more Uzi ammo that we can pick up, and there will also be a welcoming party. So from one of these tanks emerges a large, fully grown Starlantian, and he packs quite a punch. So if he hits the floor with his hammer, make sure to jump, as he produces an energy beam which is quite deadly. And as you saw there, the laser gun made fairly fairly quick work of him. That's partly, once again, why I provide plenty of ammo in this level. So as we approach that door, it will open for us, and we can run down this long corridor and keep a powerful weapon drawn, as a second fully grown Starlantian dude will be waiting to greet us at the end of this corridor, and we can once again make fairly short work of him with our powerful laser gun. So run down to the end, we can take a look at the tanks, there is nothing more to greet us here, and run up to the door at the end and it will open. So as you arrive in this area, be careful to walk, and you don't want to fall into this lava, although you can let Lara slide to this initial ledge, and the rest of the floor in this room is pretty deadly, but there is one tile that we can run and jump to, and you can do a side flip and land in this alcove. Follow the passage round and climb up, and then we can claim some ammo, and we can do a running jump to this central platform. Now if you look at this room, it may seem a tad familiar. This is because this room is based off the Spine Atlantean room from Atlantis in Tomb Raider 1. Now you can see here we are using our laser gun and hopping from side to side in order to take out another large fully grown Atlantean, and this dude shoots bolts at you, so you want to be very careful and take evasive action, but be careful not to hit any of the slopes and slide into the lava. So what we need to do next is hop up this short slope and be very careful to stop as soon as you reach the top, because there are some bladed doors here at the top. Once inside, we need to pull the switch and then carefully roll our way back through the door trap and then slide back onto the spine. So what we need to do next is turn our attention to the trail on the other side of the room. So draw another weapon and take care of this Starlantian that emerges from the egg, and then we can slide down to this lower section, and if you look very carefully there is a corner ledge that we can stand on in the middle of the lava, and this will allow us to cross to the trail on the other side of the room. We can claim some more ammo here, but be very careful because this section of the path is sloped, and there will be another fledgling Atlantean that will emerge from that egg as soon as we pull the switch, so have a weapon ready and don't let him push you off the trail into the lava. So if we turn to the right, we can see a place where we can run and jump back to the central spine, and then we can do a forward standing jump to another corner platform in the middle of the lava. This will allow us to access the alcove in which the Atlantean was earlier, and we can pick up some ammo and another mungi fruit. So we are now able to hop to this alcove, and you can see on the floor there is a raising block, and this is what one of the switches in the other room did. It lowered that block and allowed us to access this upper area. So we want to follow the passage around, and eventually we will find ourselves back in the central Starlantian silo. So run to the top of these stairs and we will get another camera view showing Lara from a distance, and you may notice another raising block at the end of this platform, and that is what is going to allow us to reach the monkey swing overhead. So we can hop to a couple of these ledges and grab some more ammo, and we can actually stand on this egg ledge. So if we pull ourselves up here, get a powerful weapon ready, and we want to then jump and grab this ledge and pull ourselves up, and there is a switch here which activates that raising block. So claim some more ammo, pull the switch and be immediately ready to roll and deal with another fledgling Starlantian. And if you use a powerful weapon, you lower the risk that he will push you off the ledge, as they do like to do that. So hop back to the egg ledge, and from here we can make our way back to the main ledge. And now we have a raising block, so we can jump up and grab this section of ladder, and then backflip to the raising block, and then jump up and grab this monkey swing. And if we shimmy across this monkey bar, when we reach the center, we will be shown a very cool camera angle looking up at Lara from the bottom of the silo. And this is just to illustrate the massive scale of this silo. So if we shimmy to the end, we can drop off and be ready for some more pesky Starlantians. So shoot these Starlantians, and then we can proceed down this hallway. But be very careful here. You're going to want to save and then sprint as quickly as you can to the end. It's better to do it from the left-hand side, as there is a bit of a slope. And you can see there that a boulder was released, and we managed to dodge off to one side at the end of the run and avoid the boulder. So if we end up on the slope at the bottom of this ledge, you can jump back and forth until you reach the darker ledges, as you're able to stand on the edges of those. And once again, be very careful that you don't get pushed into the spike pit, as the fledglings do love to do that. So we've got our Uzis here, and we can dispose of these before they push us off. And again, this room may look vaguely familiar. It is based off a trap room found in Tomb Raider 1 Atlantis. It's worth checking this area for ammo, as I did hide quite a few Uzi pickups here. And once you're satisfied that you have all of them, you can run on into this next room. And in the centre here, there is a pool and some kind of mutant swimming around in the water. We're going to want to make short work of that, as we are going to want to swim in that water fairly soon. So around the side of this room, there are a number of switches. Now this first one only activates a Starlantian, but a number of them will show you camera hints which indicate that a door has opened. So at the end of the corridor on the other side of the room, there are a series of doors that we need to open, and some of these switches open a door, and we need to ensure that all of the doors are open in order to allow us to finally proceed down that hallway. And once again, this switch just activated a Starlantian, so some of the switches are for doors and others are just for Starlantians, so they are troll switches. So jump down into this water and be very cautious when you swim into the alcoves on both sides of the pool, as they are trapped. So this one has some door blade traps, and the one on the other side has spikes guarding it. So you'll need to time swimming into these alcoves very carefully. So once we've pulled both these underwater switches, we will get a camera showing us that a block has raised, and this will allow us to reach the upper section in this room. So on this corner of the pool, there is some monkey fruit and some ammo, so pick both of those up, and then we want to exit the water, and we can now climb to the upper level of this room. And up here there will be a final door switch that we need to pull, and the other switch is merely a troll, as we saw on the ground floor. So this is the correct switch that we need to pull, which will open a door, and on the opposite ledge there is another switch which will just activate enemies, but we're going to pull it anyway just for the sake of completeness. So we can grab a couple of pickups here. There is some more ammo next to this incubation tank, so let's pick this up and then run around to this final switch. So grab the ammo and then we can pull it, and this will simply activate more Starlantians. So let's just drop down into the floor below. Oh, no, he's come up. There we go. We can shoot him, and that will then be the end of this puzzle. There is one more switch on the ground floor that we need to pull that we missed earlier, and this will be our final switch to open the door at the end of the hallway, and the switch can be found around to the right of the door. So let's pull that, and we can now proceed out of the room. Oh, this one will also activate a Starlantian, so let's make sure that he doesn't follow us down the hallway. So pick up a final Uzi pickup here, and now we can investigate this infamous hallway. So let's run on down to the end, and at the very end turn to the right, and we can follow the hallway around. And it twists and turns and meanders for a bit, and then we can follow the hall up these stairs and emerge in this large room, and we'll be greeted by a very large welcoming party in the form of a fully grown Starlantian. So this is the hammer variety, so if he hits the floor, make sure you jump off the floor as soon as he does, as he releases a shockwave that will damage Lara. So now that we're in this room, let's take a look around. This is a deceptively large area, and there are going to be quite a few tasks for us to perform here. So there is a corridor there, and that is going to be the exit corridor, but we need to open that up. So what we want to do first is run to the spot where the Starlantian fell and claim his key, and we can then use the key in this lock here, and this will lower the platform in the center of the room, and we want to run up the stairs and mount this platform, and we will get a flyby showing us a double of Lara, and this is harking back to Tomb Raider 1 Atlantis, where there was a double of Lara, only sadly I couldn't get this one to move. But where you see the double of Lara, we now have a mirror and an identical room on the other side. But it's not quite identical. There are a couple of things that we're going to want to spot in the mirror. First of all, if you look to the left on the floor, there is a key that we can claim, and this is only visible in the reflection. And if we run to the right, another thing that's only visible in the reflection is an alcove on the back wall. So if we follow the tiles in a straight line and enter this alcove, we can jump into this alcove even though it looks like a solid wall. The mirror gave us a clue that we could enter here, and here is the location where we use the key that we also got from the mirror. Placing the key opens up two doors back in the main room, and both of these doors lead to the same area. So we enter here, and we can see on the left there's a block that we need to lower, and we can run around the second inner hallway and claim a monkey fruit on our way. And we will now find ourselves at a trap room, and we'll be shown a camera of a vase on top of a pedestal. Now you may remember from earlier in the level that we're probably going to need to shoot this vase, and there are two ways in which you can do this. So the proper or intended route is for Lara to jump back and forth on these two slopes, and we're going to need to dodge the flames and then jump our way past, and we literally get just enough time to dodge these flames, and then we can backflip and face the right direction, and then Lara is eventually able to hop and shoot this vase. We just need to get to the middle, and we'll need enough height, and the Uzis are quite good for shooting the vase as they tend to have quite a good spread on them. So now we can continue to hop back and forth and return to the safety of the entrance. Not before we've dodged this flame again. This flame is quite tricky, and that's why I gave a camera angle so you could kind of see the flame when it's active. And as soon as it deactivates, we want to start veering to the left, and then we should have just enough time to clear it before it reactivates, and then we can flip around once again, and we should be able to reach the safety of the entry ledge once again. But I did mention that there were two methods, and if you're not wanting to go through all the hassle of jumping over the spikes, then there is another way that you can shoot the vase. So I'm going to jump up from the entrance with an explosive arrow and shoot the vase, and that will achieve the same result. It will shatter the vase and open this second door. It's kind of cheaty, but it does work, and you can do whichever of the two methods that you feel happiest with. So entering this room, we need to very quickly hop across those platforms as they are both breakable. We can shoot this vase at the end for more ammo, and then we can pull this chain. And this chain will lower a platform back in the main room. So grab the ammo, and then we can jump to this ladder, and from here we can reach a shimmy crack which will allow us to return to the entry ledge, as the platforms that we used to access this ledge were breakable and are no longer in place. So it's a bit tricky, but we'll need to get Lara to disengage her footing here in order to use the shimmy crack. And don't worry about the axe, it can't reach us from this shimmy ledge. So simply shimmy along, and there'll be a raising block here that we can drop to. And from here we should be able to do a jump back to the safety of the entry ledge. And now we're going to want to return to the main area. So as we return to the main area, we're now able to find the trap door that opened, or more specifically it was actually a lowering block that lowered. And once we find ourselves in this area, we can see a pushable item, and the first thing we're going to want to do is to move that out and push it onto that block that lowered. And we can see there is a switch behind us and a second movable object. Now what we're going to want to do is pull that switch, and what that's going to do is it's going to raise that block and it's going to lower the one on the other side. So we can use the opposite side to leave and then reach the pushable that is now sitting on top of the raised block, and we can now pull this off the block. And we're going to want to position this movable in the correct location in the room. If you paid attention to the central platform earlier on, you may have realised that there were two pink versions of these pushables on opposite corners, and what we're going to want to do is move the blue version of the pushable and sit this on the opposite corner to the pink pushable. So there'll be a space on the corner that we are pushing this towards, and we can position it on the pattern tile, and this is the correct location for this pushable. And one more push and we can locate this in the corner next to the energy pedestal, or as the case may be, the spawning platform, as you will find out here in a moment. So what we're going to want to do now is drop back down into the area, and we're going to want to bring out the second pushable object, and we're going to want to move this onto the block at the end of the hallway. And then you've probably guessed we're going to use the switch in order to raise up this block, and then we will be able to exit this area through the other block, which will have lowered. So this alternates the two raising blocks, so we can jump up onto this ledge and make our way back out into the room above. And thankfully this one is a slightly shorter pushable sequence, so this one goes on the near corner. So I pull the pushable out, and we are pretty close to completing this area. Now the sharp-eyed among you may have noticed that through the floor we can see a room that we ran through earlier. The one that contained the first of the large fully grown Starlantian dudes. And what we're going to do is by placing this object, we're going to activate this pull switch, and what this is going to do is raise 4 energy rods from the floor in the room below, and this is going to activate the spawning platform in the center of the room. And boom, we get a second Lara double object appearing on the platform. And along with this second Lara double, if we check the base of the platform, we will now get a key, and this is our reward for completing this section. Both rooms are now the same. We've put all the pushables in the same location, and we now have a second Lara double. The mirror image is complete. So here we want to use the upper silo key, and now we can leave via this door. Before we hastily run into this room, it's a good idea to save the game, and if you want the monkey fruit, do pick it up before pulling the switch, as when you pull the switch we will get a trap activate. This lava starts rushing towards us, so we want to be very quick in grabbing this ladder and climbing through the trap door that the switch opened. So climb on up further, and we will soon emerge higher up the silo. All these puzzle rooms are basically enabling us to climb higher up in the main silo, and we'll get a cool camera view here as we run across this bridge. This is a very similar concept to the one we saw in Tomb Raider 1. And be very careful, as you see there is another bladed door trap at the end of the hallway, and we can run on in to this corridor. You can probably tell that we're quite high up in the silo now. We are almost at the top. So this next section is going to be the final puzzly area, which allows us to climb further up. We're almost at the top. So claim the monkey fruit there, and if we glance up on the right, we might notice an alcove. We're going to want to check that out later on, but first, draw a powerful weapon and run into the room. We'll be greeted by dramatic music and another one of the missile guys, and he packs quite a punch, so make sure you keep jumping from side to side to try and avoid his shots. And even with the Uzis, it takes a lot of shots from Lara to dispatch this guy. He is certainly a boss. So keep hopping around until you are able to dispatch him. You might need to use a medkit. There we go. Whew, that took a lot of Uzi ammo. Again, this is partly why I supply a lot of ammo in this level, because it's meant to simulate Atlantis from Tomb Raider 1, and by the time you reached Atlantis you had a lot of ammunition in Tomb Raider 1, and Atlantis itself also included a fair supply, so grab some more Uzi ammo there, and then we can continue looking around this room. So we want to be careful. There are a couple of lava pits around the edges of this room, and you may also notice a shimmy crack on the wall to the left, and you can probably see this push block here, and we're going to want to move this push block out. And this push block has 2 functions, the first of which is to allow us to reach the shimmy crack, but we also need it to access that alcove that we saw when we entered the area. Now you may be thinking, oh no, that's an awful lot of pushing, but fear not. When we move this block into position and access that alcove, there is a switch at the end of that alcove which raises a block which allows us to access the shimmy crack. So you can use either method to reach the shimmy crack, but if you choose to move this block into the hallway, we'll be rewarded with another secret. You'd possibly guess that was the case by now, but let's move this block one more square. That should be enough. If we now hop on top of it, we can do a running jump and grab in order to access this alcove, and we can climb on up, and there is a fair amount of ammo in here, as well as the last secret plug, and this will allow us to reach a final super secret, which is actually coming up quite soon in the next area. So pull the switch and we will get our raising block, which will allow us to access a shimmy crack, so we don't need to move the push block all the way back into this room. So hop on top of this raising block and we can grab the shimmy crack, and you can see there is a flame and we need to time our way past that, and underneath we have more of the gaseous lava, so be careful not to let go, because if you do you will come to a sticky end. So we need to keep going and shimmy around this corner, and when we reach the end of the shimmy crack we will be able to use Lara's ledge jump move to reach another ledge above us. Now you may have noticed that there is an artifact on a ledge to our left, but at the moment it's being guarded by flames. Now don't be fooled by this, you are not meant to grab this yet. There is a way of turning off the flames, although at least one reviewer didn't realise this, and I got somewhat penalised by the reviews. So I would never make a player do something like that, which involves almost dying to get an object. So be careful with this switch, you'll need to wait until the flame goes out and then push the switch, and this will release another Starlantian boss as well as a pesky flame spirit. So what we want to do is immediately run through the double doors that open and jump into the water. This will allow us to dispatch the flame spirit, and it's partly the close presence of this water that made the reviewer think that they were meant to grab the artifact and then put Lara out in the water. Indeed, you can do this if you want to, but it's not the intended method for completing this level. So as you saw there, we used our laser gun to quickly dispatch the Starlantian boss, and now we can take a look around this room. This is another one of my favourite areas. I love this water pool, and if we look to the right there we can see the location in which we are meant to use our secret plugs, but we're not going to do that just yet. We're going to complete the necessary gameplay in this area first. So if we run into this side area we will see here a flame and another vase on top of a statue that we need to shoot, but this time we have to time ourselves with the jump in order to not get hit by the flame. Now it is possible to get set on fire and then put Lara out in the water, but we all know that's not really the intended method, so I'm going to do this without getting set on fire. And jump up, and there we go, the second time I managed to hit that. And it's always good to use the Uzis because they seem to be pretty good at hitting the vase. And we got a camera view showing the main room, and there's one more thing that we need to do before that raising platform back in the main room activates. There are two vases that we need to shoot. So I've come into the water here, and in this first side passage there is some mungi fruit that we can collect. So Lara needs a bit of persuasion there, she didn't want to pick it up. And we can swim back out into the main pool. Get some air. Now I'm going to need to explain something about this next switch. So if we swim into a second passage on the other side of this pool, there's an underwater switch at the end. Now for some reason this switch doesn't quite work as intended, and what it actually does is it raises a block back out in the main room which is timed, and this block allows us to jump up and shoot the second vase. Now we can do this and shoot it with the Uzis and all is well. But you saw there that there wasn't a camera hint to show players that the block raised. And so you might, the first time you pull the switch, be a bit confused and not know what it does. So if we come back here a second time, I will pull the switch again and we'll see what happens this time. So if we pull the switch a second time, we'll get the camera hint, but the block will be lowered. So for some reason, the second time we pull that switch, the camera hint activates activates and not the block. This is a bug and I have no idea why this happens. And if you check the comments next to this level on the Back to Basics page, it will warn players about this fault. The switch moved there and that indicates that the timer is up. So we can return to the room. You can see there is no block once again. So what we actually need to do now is swim to the block in front of the switch. For some reason, if we swim to the tile in front of the switch without pulling the switch, then the block will activate. So if you need to use that switch a second time, then you need to not pull the switch and simply swim to the block in front of it. Or, as you saw there, you could also have used the explosive ammo to cheat. So if you're really stuck on that vase, then you can use the explosive ammo to shatter it without pulling the switch. It's a bit cheaty, but if you're stuck, then it is a solution. So we can come into this room and we can now move a pipe onto the tile with the flames, and this will redirect the flames off to the sides. So we can now go onto that ledge and claim the vase or the Starlantian totem that is on that ledge. But first we're going to want to deal with another pesky fire spirit, and we'll just have a swim around this pool. I really love this pool, so why not? And now we can climb out, and we need to return to the shimmy crack a second time, and that will allow us to reach the ledge with the totem. So hop up onto the raising block once again, and we can time ourselves past this flame. And once again we were pretty lucky with the timing of that thing. So we can shimmy along here and admire the sort of lava-y area below. I really enjoyed making that with all those sort of gaseous looking objects. I tried to incorporate a few different colours in there for a bit of variety. So we can see that the fire is now redirected by that pipe, and that will now allow us to drop down onto the pedestal containing the totem, and we can now pick it up without getting fried. So the next thing we want to do is hop down safely and return to the area with the pool. I didn't drop straight down there, as Lara would have dropped into the pit from which the pipe was raised. So instead I hopped to this ledge and dropped down here. Lara takes a tiny bit of damage, but it doesn't matter too much at this stage. So let's run up to the first of the 5 secret access plugs, and we can start placing these items into their slots. Now you can only open the secret door if you found all 5 of the secrets, but hopefully if you're watching this walkthrough you will have seen all the locations in which they are hidden. So that's number 4, one more, and we can enter the secret area and claim our reward. So there are quite a few goodies in this small room. We can run on inside, and the key example is the Starlantian cannon. So this is a new weapon, and it's essentially the grenade launcher, and we get 1 lot of normal ammo and 1 lot of super ammo with it. And we can also find ourselves a revolver in this room too. So these are going to come in useful for an upcoming battle, as you will see shortly. So if we run to the end of this short hallway, we will see a receptacle, and that is the location in which we place the Starlantian totem. So we want to double back on ourselves and jump back into this pool one final time, and we can now swim further down the corridor, and we can follow this sort of diamond decorated corridor, and now we can surface at the end. And if we climb out here, we can see an energy beam ahead. Now this is a teleporter, so be careful not to step into the light beam until you are finished looking around this room. Speaking of which, there are a number of items that you can pick up in this room. So surprise, surprise, we can shoot the pots, and there are several ammo pickups, and there is a mungy fruit. So now if we step into the light beam, we will be teleported to another part of the ancient city. And we can run around here, there's nothing hidden behind the teleporter, and we can run down the passageway and find ourselves in what might be a slightly familiar area if you've played Tomb Raider 1. So it's worth having a powerful weapon drawn as you enter this area, as we'll be greeted by an enthusiastic welcoming party in the form of a fully grown Starlantian bad guy. So if we run around the corner here, we can shoot this pot and claim some more mungy fruit. And to those of you who remember this room from Tomb Raider 1, you will probably guess that there are two switches in alcoves either side of the room. And we're going to need to pull both of these switches in order to activate a timed set of trapdoors, as well as the doors to the final area. So I shot the pots either side of the doors and claimed the pickups, and now we're going to want to run back around and we're going to want to pull the switch in the right hand alcove first. So run up to the switch and be very careful, as the alcove is guarded by a set of spikes. So time your run through them carefully, but also bear in mind that you need to be pretty snappy in order to pull both switches and then cross the trapdoors and enter the door before the timer runs out. So this alcove is guarded by a set of bladed doors, so you'll also need to time your way through those, and then run around the side here as quickly as possible. And we can also use the speedrunner trick of grabbing and re-grabbing if you want to save a tiny bit of time and stop Lara swinging, and then we can dive into this room. And you may guess what this room is modelled after. So we are at the top of the silo, and here we see the Starlantian Scion. So this is our prize, and by taking this, hopefully we will thwart Natla's efforts to create a new army. So save your game and run on up and grab your prize from the pedestal, and as you do so you will be shown a flyby. So the camera will pan round, we'll get explosions having claimed the Scion, and behind the pedestal a door will open and show Natla. So I don't think she's too happy about Lara having stolen the Scion. So she is going to unleash her most dreaded foe against Lara. And you can see here this massive egg, and Lara has been teleported to this platform. And you might have guessed it, we're up against a torso boss. So similar to Tomb Raider 1, do try not to let this dude push you off the platform. Now I find it's generally better to stay as close to this guy as possible. It may be slightly counterintuitive, but if you get too near the edges you will get pushed off. So it's better to keep your health up and stay as close to him as possible and blast him with your most powerful weapon, which in this case is the Starlantian cannon. And it will take all the ammo that you get from that cannon and one shot there from the laser gun, and that is enough to dispatch that dude. That was actually quite quick. So we get some dramatic music, and if you want to, you can run around and collect the pickups. These are simply spares in case you happen to run out of ammo mid-fight, and pick those up if you want. And then we can hop up this short ramp, and an exit hallway has opened up ready for us. So you can come in here. There is nothing in any of these pots, but we want to be careful mounting the slope. There is a bladed door trap, and we need to run up as quickly as possible, as there is a boulder at the top of the slope, so we'll want to run past it. As we arrive at the end of the hallway, we'll be shown a camera view, and this is showing us the area that we were in previously before we opened up this Scion room, and that area has somewhat changed since we were in it last. So now the doors have reopened, so we can leave the Skion room and look back down into this area. So what has happened here is that the lava has drained away and it's left a sort of gaseous cloud behind it, but Lara can actually survive in this room now. So what we want to do is jump onto the top of this purple portal and slide down the side, and that way Lara will not take any damage. And we have one more secret to find before entering the portal. So run to the back, shoot this large vase, and we claim an item. That secret was intended as a sort of extra joke. That was a Natla's teddy bear. So as you saw there, I jumped into the portal, and as I mentioned at the beginning of the level, we emerged back in the opening area. So Lara has returned to the area in which she parked her shuttle, and we can take one final look around at the lost city and return to our shuttlecraft, and the level is complete. Lara has successfully defeated all of Natla's new army, and she has also claimed the Starlantian Skion in the hope of stopping Natla from raising another army. Although Natla herself, well, she lives to fight another day, so maybe someday Lara will have to face her old foe again. So that was Starlantis, my 9th TRLE and my second Back to Basics level. I'd like to say a massive thank you to the team that put together the package for Back to Basics 2018 Space. A link to the website for the competition will be included below, so you can go and play some of these awesome levels for yourself. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please do consider liking and subscribing, and if you do subscribe, please do hit the notification bell so that you're notified when I upload future videos. This is Agent XP, TTFN.